Patriotism is a basic tool for socio-economic and political transformation of any nation to thrive. Hence, the quality of every society is predicated on the quality of the citizens' loyalty. It is therefore pertinent to note that no society builds itself above the quality of its nation. The nation must come first at the heart of all combined forces of the society. As such, patriotism helps to generate productivity of an individual, thereby fueling economic growth and development of a nation. It is in this line that the program Nigeria Today seeks to bring to discourse the patriotic nature of Nigerians as a new dawn beckons. Monday, 29th of May 2023, ushered in a democratically elected government to run and man the affairs of the country for the next 4 years. To that effect, the inaugural speech by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, declared that making Nigeria a country to behold, all must come together, march beyond the dimness of night into the open day of renewed national hope. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu threw the puzzle that should send a message of hope to all by asking this pertinent question as to whether Nigerians want to remain faithful to the work inherent in building so as to better the society, or retreat into the shadows of our unmet potential. This stands to question the level of patriotism that citizens need to answer for themselves, which he said, and I quote, "We are too great a nation and too grounded as a people to rob ourselves of our finest destiny, as Nigeria's journey has since been shaped by the prayers of millions and the collective sacrifices of us all, which we have endured the hardships that would have made other societies crumble. Yet, we have shouldered the heavy burden to arrive at this sublime moment where the prospect of a better future merges with our improved capacity to create that future that is more firmly established in both word and deed democratically." End of quote. I am your carrier, Clinton. Welcome to Nigeria Today. With me here in the studio to discuss the topic is a familiar face on the program, Chris Ageri, Director General, the Flag Foundation of Nigeria. Good to have you on the program.
Good evening, Nigerians. Congratulations.
We also have the Director, Special Duties, National Orientation Agency, NOA, David Akoji. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, viewers. Nice to be here.
I'll start with you, David. Actually, a lot of persons, you hear people talk about patriotism. Some persons will say, oh, Nigerians should be patriotic, and the rest of that. But then again, the same person makes certain comments that when you look up the meaning of patriotism, you see that the comments he's making and his attitude is far from, from being patriotic as regards the meaning. So tell us, what does it mean to be patriotic?
Patriotism, simply put, is love for country. Love for country to the extent that an individual is willing to defend his country even with his life. So that extent of love for country is what is referred to as patriotism. You are jealously guarding of your country and the things that pertain to the interests of your country. So this really is what patriotism is about. And indeed, no nation can develop without patriotic citizens. People tend to have this misconception that the country needs to develop first before its country can be patriotic. Before its citizens can be patriotic to the country. No, the reverse is the case. Great countries across the globe are built by citizens who are patriotic. So patriotism is extremely important.
Okay, Chris, in the inaugural speech by the president on his assumption of office as a 16th leader of the country, he made a call for all to come together, irrespective of affiliations, but united people with one voice. Can you speak on this context?
Okay, it's all right. I thought first let me congratulate the president and his vice, and let me welcome them on board and welcome to your office, the office you aspired for, as God may have it. Here they are. And then say call to duty to the president and his vice, me as a Nigerian, and to the extent of my influence, I will galvanize support to ensure your administration succeeds. Today, 28 governors that was sworn in yesterday, you asked for this job, here it is. And I crave indulgence of every Nigerian to support their governors to succeed in their office. Having said that, Mr. President's call for everybody to come together. We have no option. It's not optional. It's not a matter of whether you like it or you don't like it. As long as he has been sworn in, and he is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today, as well as the 28 state governors, it behoves on all Nigerians. In fact, it is a moral obligation, a constitutional duty, that we, in every capacity, support the leadership to succeed. Be it at the federal level, most importantly, at the state level, and at all levels. So it's just a matter of reminding Nigerians, which is what we've been doing in our own capacity as a civil society group. You don't need to like the face of the president. You don't need to be a member of his party. It is a duty you owe yourself to be patriotic. It is a duty. As a matter of fact, it's a moral duty you owe to yourself. As you act for your rights and privileges as a Nigerian, part of your moral obligations to the Nigerian society, where God has placed you, is to support the leader in all honesty and to conduct yourself officially and privately in accordance with the law, morally binding that society. It's not a matter of whether you are highly placed or lowly placed. In other words, it's just a formal call that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu called yesterday, and I crave the indulgence and I plead with all Nigerians from all facets to respond to this call to duty. It's a call to duty, a national assignment, to build a Nigeria of our dreams. Nobody, 1 million of Tinubus, 1 million of articles, 1 million of P2Bs cannot do it. It is a collective. So until otherwise, as the cases are in court, until otherwise, it is in your personal interest as a Nigerian that lives under this sovereignty called Nigeria to support the government. If the government fails, you fail yourself. Part of the problems facing us in Nigeria today, from the southeast to the northeast, to the northwest, to the south-south, to southwest, to north-central, is as a result of failure of leadership. And the leadership fails ultimately because the people turns the other way around. Just yesterday, they took the oath of office and the oath of allegiance. If you interpret this, it gives us their duty bound by this sacred oath. And then, if you go to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chapter 3, Section 23 talks about national ethics, which is national ethics, and then duties. 24 says duties of the citizens. As a citizen of Nigeria, irrespective of the political party in power, irrespective of the president, irrespective of the governor, as somebody who subscribed, as a member of the Nigerian society, a citizen of Nigeria, carrying Nigerian international passport, living and residing in the Nigerian territory known as Nigeria, the Constitution says, your duty as a citizen, my duty as a citizen, we say it shall be a duty of every citizen to, one, abide by the Constitution, respect its ideas, its institutions, the national flag, for which I'm the promoter, the national flag, the national anthem, the national pledge, and legitimate institutions. Part of legitimate institutions is like INEC that declared the president a winner, and then him being sworn in this way. These are those institutions, and if the institutions have said so, you are duty bound, as we have, obliged. Then he said, further, section B of that 24, the B said, help to enhance the power, prestige, and good name of Nigeria, defend Nigeria, and render national service as may be required. Being supporting the government is a national service. It is required of you. It went further to see to say, respect the dignity of other citizens. Dignity of other citizens. And, excuse me, please, and the rights and legitimate interests of others, and live in unity and harmony, and in the spirit of common brotherhood. Make positive and useful contribution to the advancement, progress, and well-being of the community where you reside. Finally, said, render assistance to appropriate and lawful agencies in the maintenance of law and order, and declare his honest income, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying in effect is this, that the call, we're responding to your question, the call for all Nigerians to get together. We're already duty bound, constitutionally, morally, to support the government of the day to succeed.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for that elaborate explanation of the importance of being patriotic. Now, David, I know you work in an organization where your work seems to tilt towards that, and how has, or will I say, how well has it been in sensitizing Nigerians on the need to be patriotic? Because I'm asking this because some Nigerians, like I said earlier on, they talk about patriotism. Everybody's shouting, hey, let's be patriotic, let's be patriotic.
Slogan.
But the truth remains that some don't even know that certain comments are unpatriotic. So how has the sensitization been? How well has the organization done in the area of sensitizing Nigerians, or kind of evoking patriotism in Nigerians?
Okay. We have done activities at the level of policy, as well as at the level of advocacy and sensitization. At the level of policy, the National Orientation Agency, in collaboration with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, and the Office of the Secretary to Government of the Federation, pursued and accomplished the putting in place of a national policy on ethics and integrity. Patriotism is a key component of that policy. And like he mentioned, Chapter 2, Section 23 of the 1999 Constitution as amended spells out our national ethics. And patriotism is also a prominent component of our national ethics. Like I said to you earlier on, there are quite a number of Nigerians who seem to get it wrong. They think that the country must meet my expectations first before I become patriotic and loyal to the country.
But then, does patriotism work in a vacuum?
No, patriotism is the same way. For instance now, as parents, we have children. And naturally, we love those children. We invest energy and resources to ensure that those children turn out good. You can liken patriotism to that kind of feeling. This is a country that belongs to all of us. We are all invested in it emotionally and resource-wise, and so on. So, if we sit back and wait for the country to be perfect before we decide to love the country, because that's what patriotism is. Patriotism is love for country, what happens around the world and what we have seen around the world is that patriotic persons come together and build their nations to become great in the Committee of Nations. And in a country where you have a predominance of patriotic people, that's people who love their country, you will find naturally that such a country will thrive and progress. If you love your country, you'll invest your best energies to ensure that the country turns out good. Look at what our footballers do on the pitch, you know, risking injury and all of that to ensure that our country wins in competitions. Our athletes, you know, that's patriotic. You know, and that's the kind of feeling that we advocate at the National Orientation Agency through sensitization, through awareness creation, through the promotion of our national ethics, which has patriotism as a prominent component.
Okay, I'll stop you right here. Let's pause for a while and hear the views of a cross-section of Nigerians on how patriotic one should be. As put together by correspondent Steve Nwokolo. Stay with us.
I'm patriotic in the little way I can by maybe protecting government property, supporting government policy that is in line with national interest. And maybe we share our own idea in our own little way where we are, where we find ourselves. But generally, Nigerians I will not give credit that all of us are patriotic because corruption has eaten deep in our system. Everybody wants to have a national cake, share it in their own way.
Patriotism is something everyone has in him, but when the system fails someone, he loses that patriotism. So it's all based on the system. Depending on how the system treats you, that depends on how patriotic you would be. It's reciprocal, I think, in my own perspective.
What I can say about patriotism is very, very simple. If you know what you are doing, you will be focused with what you are doing, go to the line you want to go, and be sure of what you are doing. You understand? So, but what I want to tell you today is that to be patriotism is a very straightforward thing. If you want the government to do the same, follow the government.
I'm protective because we have to loyal to the country. We have no any other country than Nigeria, so we have to loyal. In terms of election, everything, we have to vote. Any government policies, we have to at least look at it and cooperate with the government. And so we can be able to move the country forward. We should show love, commitment, and ensure that any government that comes to power, we support them and contribute our own quota to the success of this country.
Welcome back. The program is still Nigeria Today, and I'm still here with my guests, David Akoji and Chris Aguirre. Before the break, our discussion was patriotism. How patriotic should Nigerians be in nation building? Now, Chris, you had the reaction of people there. What is your take on some of the, issues raised there?
We discussed patriotism in abstraction. It's like an abstract thing. That's why it's a slogan before the due respect most Nigerian politicians and of course as well. It's like a song. It's not. It is a way of life. Patriotism is a way of life. Patriotism is imbued in the human person, and from that subconscious level. It's like that time you are learning ABC. It's like time as a Christian, as our Father who art in heaven, then the Catholic and the Anglican Church. That's how it is infused. Beginning from at the subconscious age. And then this is why when we wave the national flag, when we use the national flag, we use the national flag to communicate that message of patriotism, that message of commitment, that message of reaffirmation of who you are, right? So at least where you see people in sports, the field of sports displaying flag or in events, they are reaffirming themselves, their pride in that nation. In the Nigerian system, Nigeria have patriotism is part of those foundations, some of those things that should be embedded in the curriculum as a foundation in nation building. Everybody is patriotic to his family, but to the larger Nigerian society that houses all of us. I used to give an illustration that all of us are like babies in the womb of a woman. The well-being of the womb of a woman is derived from the health of that woman. That's what we are in the belly of Nigeria.
I'll stop you here, Chris. I'll now give David opportunity to also react to some of the issues raised there. Somebody said if the country treats you well, you have to be patriotic, and if the country doesn't, it will stop. So, it also buttresses the point I was trying to make earlier on.
Yes, that is the challenge we have with quite a number of our citizens in this country. They are waiting for the country to be perfect to deliver on all their expectations before they become patriotic to their country. Now, that order of arrangement is wrong. You know, look at great countries of the world. America, for instance. America, it wasn't what it is today at the point of its creation. It took patriotic individuals to envision and say, look, this is the type of country we want in 50 years' time, in 100 years' time, you know, and so on. And they began to conscientiously and sacrificially work towards achieving that envisioned country. And today, look at it, they have one of the greatest countries in the world. Look at Israel, you know, and countries that have made a good map on the world activities. You know, if a person says, I'm waiting for my country to satisfy all my needs before I'm able to be patriotic to it, then who is going to do that work to make your country strong enough, you know, and prosperous enough to now satisfy your needs?
Okay, David, before you go further, I would just want to ask, how can we be patriotic? Now we have a new government in place. Let's say before now, we didn't really get the meaning of patriotism, but now we have a new government and now we're talking about patriotism. How can we be patriotic?
How do we, the issue is communication. How do you communicate with people? How do you connect to the people? Excuse me, it's a subject I'm passionate about. Yeah. It's a subject I've spent my little time and commitment to. Issue. So when I discuss it, when I get emotional, you will not understand. It is expensive to be patriotic in Nigeria. But if you have no option than to be patriotic, you have to be patriotic. The leadership have to set the map, as the president have said, right? They have to go a step further by mobilizing, galvanizing, sensitizing the people to buy into that vision, that cohesion, that stronger sense of we Nigerians. That stronger sense of where. That is why inclusiveness is very important. If it is in an isolated way, you can succeed at your individual levels. But as a nation, there has to be a national dream that the president, going forward, beginning from today, will galvanize the energies of Nigerians to buy into it and then support it. And then for people to, Nigerians also have to volunteer. Volunteerism in nation building is a very important aspect. It's not every day you go to your work and then you don't care what government does. Government then does their own thing, leaving the people behind. Majority of Nigerians don't know what government is doing because government is not communicating enough.
Okay, Chris, let David add his voice.
And we need to make this distinction very clearly so that our audience and indeed the larger proportion of Nigerians understand clearly what these issues are. We must be able to, in our minds, separate government from our country. The reason is this: governments come and go. Up until 2 days ago, it was the government of then President Muhammadu Buhari. Today, we have the government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency. But over these 60-something years of our independence, Nigeria is Nigeria, steady and constant. People begin to feel bad towards their country because of the actions of leaders that are transient.
That's right.
Let us not equate leadership with the country itself.
So what are
patriotism means love of country.
So what are the consequences?
Can't work in isolation.
Hold on,
no,
Chris.
You see, if you don't look at it like
Chris, hold on.
If you don't look at it like this, then you get confused.
Hold on. David is still making a point here.
Yes.
Now, what are the consequences of not being patriotic?
The consequences of not being patriotic is that in the Committee of Nations, people will take your country for granted. Right. Your country will not be respected. You will only project the negative things about your country, even when several positive things are happening. That's right. There are several things that Nigeria and Nigerians, you know, are doing that is attracting global attention positively. If we forget these ones and we just focus on the negatives, then we're not being patriotic. You know, there's no country in the world that doesn't have challenges. Some of their challenges are worse than the ones we're dealing with here. You know, is it exclusion? You know, is it segregation? Is it corruption? Is it mismanagement? There are several countries, even advanced democracies in the world, that are grappling with these challenges. But they don't spend too much time promoting this. They're promoting the positive things that are happening. So patriotism is love for country. The same way as you love your mother and father, as you love your children, and you love them unconditionally. You don't wait for your children to grow up and begin to pay your bills before you start loving them.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Gentlemen. Oh, well, this is where we'll call it today. But first, I would like to appreciate my guest, the Director of Special Duties, National Orientation Agency, David Akoji, for finding time to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
And also, Chris Agiri, Director General, the Flat Foundation of Nigeria. Pleasure to have you share your views with us.
Thank you very much.
And to you, our viewer, thank you very much for always being a part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today, weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Hope to see you again tomorrow.